Rev your engines and fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey, keeping you up to date on everything going on this season at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Now, here's your host, Dan Bailey.
Hey race fans, welcome to another edition of Thunder Talk on WINONA Sports Network, 99.3 FM, and streaming live at WINONARadio.com. I'm Dan Bailey, getting ready for night number 2 of a 2-night doubleheader at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Of course, last night we had the Carl Fenske Memorial. This evening we're focusing everything on that $10,000 to win USMTS special event as part of the USMTS End of Summer Bash. Before we get into more details and before I introduce to you our guest for this week's edition of Thunder Talk, I just want to remind those of you who might be tuning in via the Mississippi Thunder Speedway YouTube channel to like this video, share it with your friends, spread it around. Don't hesitate to drop some comments or some thoughts or questions down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel and click that bell so that you're notified of all future offerings on the Mississippi Thunder Speedway YouTube channel. All right, tonight, night number 2 of this doubleheader. A lot of fun for a Friday evening whenever the USMTS Stars and Cars roll into town, but you throw a few extra dollar bills at them and things can get even more exciting. $10,000 to win tonight for the USMTS Stars and Cars with the USMTS End of Summer Bash, and of course they will be joined by other divisions on track this evening. You can get all the details online by following Mississippi Thunder Speedway's social media efforts. And, of course, you can look at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway website, MississippiThunder.com. All right, one of the drivers who is going to be battling not only for the cash, but also for very important points is joining us on this week's edition of Thunder Talk, coming off a great win just recently, actually. Tanner Mullens, driver of USMTS Modified, is joining us. Tanner, welcome to this week's edition of Thunder Talk.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We start this Labor Day weekend swing for the USMTS Series at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, and it feels like you're bringing a little momentum with you, because if we go back to the second weekend of August, you were able to bring home the Grant Youngins Memorial Trophy, take it back to Kansas. So does that momentum help you either mentally, emotionally, or just as a racer in general coming into this weekend's USMTS swing?
Probably just in general, all around, really. We kind of struggled there, the first part of the year, and feel like we kind of got our wheels rolling now, and hopefully carry this on through the rest of the year, I hope, and hopefully try to get that national points championship.
There are several events left, including this weekend's swing, and as we come into this evening's action, Dustin Sorensen is the current point leader. He's got 2,412 points. You're currently second in the standings, 2,355 points. With the number of events left on the schedule, it's a tough question to ask, and it's a tough question to think about, but is that a deficit that you feel like you can overcome getting into these last few events?
Yeah. I mean, anything's possible, if he was to have a bad night and we were to have a really good night, I think we could make up quite a few points there in one night, but it could also go the other way too, Dustin's been really good all year and had very minimal bad nights or mistakes. And he's been fun to race with, but we'd sure like to outrun him at the end of the year.
Tonight it's the End of Summer Bash at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Tomorrow night it's off to Deer Creek Speedway with the annual USMTS JNS JCB Fast Track 40. Then it's down to West Union with the 10th annual USMTS War in West Union. Back to Deer Creek. You're going to be visiting the inaugural USMTS King of the Ring at the mighty Tri-State Speedway. Then it's off to Lakeside Speedway and the 3rd annual USMTS Modified Spooktacular at 81 Speedway. Which of those speedways, which of those tracks is calling your name? Do you feel like one of those might be playing into your strengths?
Probably, that last swing kind of close to home is kind of what I'm looking forward to. It's kind of our home turf, and it seems like we've been racing up north quite a bit this year, and Dustin, that's his home territory, and it's hard to beat him up there. And I think we come down here places we're a little more familiar with. It helps us, and hopefully them last 3 nights there, Tri-State and 81 and all that. Hopefully we can click off some pretty good nights and make up some points, or maybe pass him. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just kind of take what we can get. We've been very fortunate even just to be second in national points. Just looking back, where we've been 3 years ago compared to now. We've made leaps and gains, and just very fortunate to have what we have at this point. But we're still shooting for the title.
I want to ask you a little bit about career highlights and trying to put, in a long career like you've had, 24, 25 years, sometimes it's hard to kind of balance out highlights. They all kind of seem to blur together after a while. The 2020 Grand Youngins rookie picking up the big check earlier in August at the Grand Youngins Memorial. You've got some state championships, NCRA championship, and then of course you've got that Gateway Dirt Nationals feature win. If you were to pick up the USMTS national title this year, kind of where does that rank? How do you rank all these successes that you've been able to enjoy through your career?
I'd say if we picked up the national championship, that would by far be the biggest accomplishment that we've ever had. The Dome and a couple of the state titles and the Hudson Nationals, I think we won 4 times. Each one of them, they just gradually get bigger and better, and you're always looking for the next one, but definitely very fortunate to be able to get the ones that we have. But I would sure like to get the national title and have that under our belt, and I think it would be a good thing for us to have, just for our chassis company that we have, and it would kind of help us get our name out there a little bit more and kind of show what we got. It'd be a huge deal for us, and the 100,000 would definitely help get going next year as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that would help, right? A paycheck like that would be very welcome to any racer.
Oh yeah, more than happy to take that one.
You mentioned something very important there. You said your chassis program. A casual fan comes to the races and they just see a race car, right? Those of us who, just live and breathe this sport, we know all about the different chassis manufacturers, and it seems like there are so many of them. Sometimes even those of us who are deep in the sport lose track of all of them. But your story, for some reason, to me, it seems a little different. With the 3 generations of history in here. Tell us a little bit about Mullens Racing Chassis, because there's something about it that piques my interest.
Well, my grandpa, he built cars for a lot of people just around here locally, and he just did it more for fun, and he had a salvage yard and some other businesses that he ran, and that was more of his hobby. And Dad started racing, and they built their own cars back then, and then my dad kind of turned it into a business, and he did it for quite some time up until, I think about, he kind of started slowing down in 99. He had some health problems and heart problems there, and it just made it to where he wasn't able to do it. We're not huge. We don't have a bunch of employees, and, it takes us to make the business run, and he just wasn't physically capable to do it anymore, and kind of shut down there for a while. And I ran sprint cars for a few years and got an offer to drive a modified, and I did for a little bit, and we decided to build one for myself. We still had all the jigs and tools and all the equipment it took to do it here. So we built one and raced it 2 or 3 years, and had a guy come up and ask if we would build him one, and I'm like, I guess. We built him one, and just kind of snowballed from there. He had a few more asked the next year. It just kind of kept growing and growing, and we're still growing. That year we won the Grand Youngins Rookie of the Year. Really started getting more interest in what we were doing, and now we got Lucas Schott and Darren Fuquay and some other guys that are running our cars, and I put most of the credit to them guys. They make us look good and show what we have to offer, and they kind of fit different driving styles and seem to work good all around. So it definitely helped, and that's just kind of how it came about, and hopefully just keeps growing from here on out.
Do you have an idea the number of chassis that are out there out of your shop?
My dad quit at, I want to say it was 130-something. I want to say we're up over 200-something now. So there's probably a couple hundred of them running around out there. I want to say we're right around somewhere in 200 mark right now.
Do you get the feeling that it's sort of a David and Goliath battle, or do you feel like people understand how well they work and the sort of success that they can get with your machines?
I think we're still trying to make a name for ourselves. You got MB Customs and Hughes and Lethal, they're all, very well established and big companies. And, we're just trying to get our name out there and, let people know. I think people, they know about what we're doing. It's just they know how committed we are. And we live and breathe this stuff, and we have for 30 years, I guess. And we're just out to build a good product and make sure all of our customers are satisfied to the best that we can do, and just try to make a living at this deal.
Well, I know that the drivers that you do have running your chassis are praising them mightily and enjoying a lot of success, and that's the best advertising that you could ever ask for, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think Lucas set a new track record at Mississippi Thunder last week. Yep. Darren Fuqua picked up his first USMTS win in our cars. And that last swing that we went on, Darren won the first night, and I was able to win that second night. Lucas ran second there at I-70, and Rodney beat him by, a few 1,000ths of a second. So we were close to having a weekend sweep of our chassis, and, I think that speaks volumes, just what we can do and how good our customers are. And hopefully one of these days, we're considered one of the big chassis builders here in the near future.
Obviously, that means that a huge part of your racing efforts is backed with your Mullens Racing Chassis, Mullens race cars, using the Mullens Racing engines. But I know that there's more, so tell us a little bit about sponsors and supporters who help you out specifically through this 2022 charge.
I got Mel Hamilton Ford. They're the biggest Ford dealership here in Kansas, and Sandlin Iron and Metal. They're one of the bigger salvage yards here in Kansas, and them two have been with me probably since I was about 16 years old, and they never gave up on me, and they keep helping me, basically making it possible for me to get up and down the road. And I got Sedona Trucking, Fuqua Trucking, and Bergman Tax and Accounting, Kanoki Farms, and a lot of product sponsors that help us, get this thing put together. And they just make sure basically that I have what I need, and definitely the only reason I'm able to do what I'm doing is because of them guys. With my budget that I would be able to work with, it I wouldn't stand a chance. So I definitely give all the credit to everybody who helps me.
All right, Tanner, you're going to have to forgive me here because I'm going to throw one of these stereotypical interview questions your directions. I kind of have to. Okay. We're getting into the end of the USMTS series for this season. You're sitting second in the point standings. You've been able to taste success with that big win. As I said, you're second in the point standings. But at the end of this year, what is it going to take for you to look back on 2022 and say, that was successful? I mean, if you don't get this championship, can you still find a silver lining in the cloud, or is that a deal breaker for you?
Yeah, that would, being that close, and you never know how many opportunities that you're going to have to be that close to winning a national title. So I wouldn't say if we didn't win it wouldn't be a horrible year, but it definitely we wouldn't be too excited. It's just I think everybody's out to win, and we've been working really, really hard, and I just want to make sure that all of our work and all of our sponsors that have put in all the work get the reward. And if it doesn't happen, it's all right, but we would definitely it would be a much better year if we could pull off that win. So we're going to keep our head down and keep digging. We ain't going to give up till it's over, so we'll just see what happens.
You had mentioned very early when we were chatting, you said you maybe got off to a little bit of a slower start, or you struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season. Can you look back? Was it one particular event that you feel like you stumbled, or was it a combination of a couple that you think may have played into that early season struggle that you had mentioned?
I think a lot of it is I was just so busy here in the shop making sure all of our customer stuff was done. I just kind of let my stuff slide, and it cost me. It's hard to kind of juggle them back and forth, and I think I didn't have enough time and attention dedicated to my own stuff there at the beginning, and it showed up. But we've been on it here lately, and definitely coming around and got on kind of just some new stuff that we feel like it's working pretty well, and I think we're going to be pretty good the rest of the year.
Well, Tanner, I tell you what, we sure appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us on Thunder Talk this week. Tanner Mullens, driver of the 02. The extended Labor Day swing begins this evening at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Best of luck to you tonight and through the weekend, and through the remainder of the 2022 USMTS Series. And again, Tanner Mullens, thanks for joining us this week on Thunder Talk.
No problem. I greatly appreciate it.
Race fans, don't forget, tonight is the second night of this two-night doubleheader special at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Of course, last night we had the Carl Fenske Memorial. Tonight it's all about the USMTS Stars and Cars. $10,000 to win for the USMTS End of Summer Bash. Get all the details, start times, admission prices, etc. by following Mississippi Thunder Speedway's social media efforts, or look them up online at their official website, MississippiThunder.com.
That was Thunder Talk, keeping you up to date on everything going on at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
You ever notice that when you're on a fishing trip, you drive your boat all the way to the other side of the lake because you think that's where the best fishing is? And the people staying at the cabins on that side of the lake, well, they come and fish where your cabin is. You don't have to drive a long ways to catch the big fish. And at Arcadia Motors, you don't have to drive a long ways to get the best deal on a new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram truck. The best deals are right in the bay next to your cabin. Take the short, scenic drive to Arcadia Motors. ArcadiaDodge.com.